Welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe, and tonight it is Rock the Casbah. Our host is Gary Cordingley. He knows what is happening. I haven't the faintest idea. I'm sitting in a hotel room. I can't make any devices work. Handheld telephone. Are you ready?
We've lost
Who is our first teller?
Well, hi everybody. Hi, and welcome to Rock the Casbah. I think this is the third one in our series of fundraising events for the World Storytelling Cafe Festival of Storytelling in Marrakesh in 2022. And John says that I am the one who knows what's happening, and all I know is there are some people in the room. My laptop is has taken up meditation, and so it's meditating. It's considering opening up and letting me in on a screen where I can see everybody. But at the moment, I can just see myself and John. But I know that David Thompson is in the room. That is a good start. David Thompson from Texas, America, and the theme that we discussed talking about for this week, we said we would have hospitality as a theme. And so I'm not going to say much more at this stage. I'm going to ask David if he would step in and tell his story, and then I'm going to have a look and see who else is in the space. Are you okay with that, David?
Oh, yeah, works for me. Tell me when you want me to start.
The floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually, okay, fine. Well, hi, good everybody. Welcome. Texas here. It's in the afternoon. It's hot, whatever. It's summer. We have stories of hospitality in so many different areas. And one thing that I know of is that hospitality is a sacred oath or a sacred duty to people who come by your home to visit. And there are many stories about when the gods would be in disguise and walk the earth in order to see what the people are doing, sort of touch base with them. And also, so here, that's the first part of my intro. The second part is so many of us, of our generation and of our schooling, we were brought up in the Western classical tradition, Greek and Roman, basically. And there's some beautiful Greek stories, but the majority of the stories we hear are about heroes and gods having love with everybody else and all this. But there are some absolutely beautiful stories of average, everyday Greeks. So the story I'm going to tell you today is Baucus and Philemon. So here we go. The next time you are in Greece, you might come across a place where there's the ruins of a beautiful temple, and there are two trees growing in front whose branches are entwined. Now, I have been told that this is the story of those two trees. So come with me to a time in the fresh spring of the world when the gods walked on earth in disguise. Oh, it was one beautiful day, a small village. Baucus and his wife Philemon were humble farmers, lovely people, always grand and giving and kind, and not too well off, as we would say. However, they made ends meet. And they were always welcoming to a traveler or always helping people out. Not so their neighbors who lived in the valley, in the town outside of which they lived. Well, one day, Baucus was out working in his small little garden. And Philemon, I believe, she was probably grinding meal for the daily bread, when two strangers approached to Baucus and said, "Good day, citizen," for you always addressed a Greek by the term citizen. And Baucus turned and saw these two dusty, raggedy men, obviously very tired. "Oh, good day to you. Oh, would you care to come and rest?" "Oh, that would be so kind of you," They both responded at different times. And so Baucus led them into the area, led them into the house, helped them with water to wash their hands and their face. And they rested in the cool of the day, in the cool of the house, that is. Oh, and Philemon, she came up. Oh, are you hungry? We don't have much, but you're welcome to share. We have bread, and I do have some sour milk. I was going to make yogurt, but it's still good. And some olives, not many, but a few. Would you share these with us? And the two men said, well, thank you for your hospitality. We would be more than honored to share food with you. And so they did. They ate and they sipped on the sour milk and had fresh spring water. And they were very kind and loving conversations. So later during the afternoon, when it was starting to cool off, I would say the sun was going down, the two gentlemen stood up and said, my friends, our new friends, we must leave you now. Oh, really? Do you have to? You're welcome to spend the night. And it was at that time, those exact words, that the gods revealed themselves to Baucus and Philemon, Zeus and Hermes. Oh, their eyes. Oh, the humans' eyes were so wide. They went wider than sheets. They bowed to the ground and begged them for forgiveness for having such a meager and frugal meal, and tried to chase the goose down, but they never caught the goose. It hid behind Hermes and honked at him. And the gods just laughed and said, wait. Come outside with us. So they did. They went outside with Zeus and Hermes and the goose. And Zeus turned to them and said, you have been so kind. You have shown us hospitality does exist. However, your neighbors in the valley, not so. For they threw slops at us and told us to go away and set their hounds on us. And, well, they are no more. Baucus and Philemon looked, and in fright and horror, the entire valley was one giant lake. They cried for their people in their town. They were sobbing, and Zeus said, no. It is okay to grieve, but we give you this charge. And raising his hands, he said, turn around and look. And Baucus and Philemon dried their eyes, and they turned around, and instead of a very humble home, there was a grand and glorious temple, solid marble columns, beautiful gardens, areas for people to rest, even a small inn. And the gods said, we charge you to be the keepers of this place, for it is sacred now. It is sacred to hospitality. Never turn anyone away. And Baucus and Philemon bowed low and thanked the gods. And then Baucus said, oh, grand ones, I have a request. And Zeus and Hermes together said, and what is that request? Baucus took Philemon's hand and said, we shall grow old together, but we do not wish to leave the other without. Let us depart this life at the same time. And Hermes and Zeus agreed. The goose honked its approval. And so it was. That happened. Years went by, and the temple and inn were known far and wide for simple meals, a soft bed, friendly workers, and they became very, very, very happy. One day, though, long after, The gods had visited them. Baucus and Philemon were standing out in front in the shade and talking about events of their lives and how they wish they had had children, but all the people traveling were their children. And Baucus looked at Philemon with great love in his eyes, and he stopped. He looked and noticed her hands were beginning to be covered with bark. Branches were beginning to grow out of her shoulders. Her feet were turning into roots into the ground, and so was his. What's going on? And as the bark gradually grew up their bodies, they had a chance to say, "Farewell, dear spouse." And those trees grew, their branches intertwined. And as far as I know, they're still there today. So, the next time you're in Greece and you come by a ruins of a beautiful temple and you see an oak and an olive with intertwined branches, maybe, just maybe, that is Baucus and Philemon.
Oh, David, that was beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, and beautifully told as well, and such rich imagery. And I felt like I was there. It was fabulous. Thank you. And I've not come across that story before, so thank you for introducing me to that. Brilliant. There are only about 9 of us in the space at the moment, and I don't know how many of those people are going to be sharing a story with us this evening. John, have you got a story to tell? Do you trust your internet enough to share something with us?
Can you hear me?
Can hear you at the moment, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll just take a story. Oh my goodness gracious me. I wasn't expecting to, when everything went down, I wasn't expecting to tell, but I can. I'll faff around for a minute and then I'll have a story.
Okay.
And I may just do, I've got a primary school tomorrow, so I'm going to do a story that I would normally do for children. And it's a Jack story.
Of course.
And, well, it's a story. And Jack lived with his mum, as Jack always does. And it was a bad year, and it was a bad harvest. It was next to nothing to eat. And Jack went, "Mum," in that sort of whingy way that our children use. "Mum, give us a cake and a jug of milk, and I'll be off to seek my fortune." And she said, "Take half a cake and half a jug of milk, and I'll give you my blessing. Or a whole cake and a whole jug of milk, and I won't." And of course, he took the half cake and a half jug of milk, and he set off down the road. Well, he'd hardly gone down the road when he heard a stomping and a clumping and a braying from the stream below. He looked down, there was a donkey drowning. As quick as he could, he got a pile of stones, threw them into the stream, and he built a bridge. And he pulled out the donkey. And you all know exactly what the donkey said: "Thank you very much, for I would have surely died." "And where do you happen to be going?" "Well, I'm off to seek my fortune," said Jack, "or at least live to the next harvest." "Do you mind if I come with you?" said the donkey. "Not at all," said Jack. And they set off down the road. Well, they came to a town, and there was a group of children, and they were not the most ideologically sound of children. No one had told them about animals. You must be nice to them. And they were just a group of lads out for a bit of mischief. And they tied a kettle to a dog's tail. And they were chasing the dog and throwing stones at the dog and stones at the kettle. And every time there was a big crash on the kettle and it rung through the streets, they clapped and cheered. Well, Jack saw this was happening. And he said, the donkey, he said, when I clapped my hands, bray as loud as you could. And just as the kids were coming past, Jack clapped his hand and the donkey brayed as loud as he could. I still at school, I've done it a year and a half. And so, directions, Jack got the dog, undid the gap from his tail. You all know exactly what the dog said. Thank you very much. For I will surely die. Where do you happen to be going? Well, I'm off to seek my fortune, said Jack. Or at least live till next harvest. Do you mind if I come with you, said the dog. Not at all. And they set off down the road. Well, it was about this time of day, and they were getting a bit hungry. And I was in central London for the first time in a year and a half yesterday. And when I got hungry, you know, I just looked at the prices of everything and thought, I think I'll start going on my diet now. And there was nowhere to eat. So they sat on a grass verge. Jack was eating his cake, and dog was chewing a bone, and the donkey was eating some nettles. When along came a cat. This is absolutely true. That cat was no fatter than my finger. Jack turned around and said, looks like you've seen 9 rooftops since breakfast, said Jack. Would you like a saucer of milk? The cat lapped up the saucer of milk. And of course, you know exactly what the cat said. Thank you very much, for I surely done really happily go. Well, I'll seek my fortune, said Jack, or at least live till next harvest. Do you mind if I come with you, said the cat. Not at all, said Jack, and they set off down the road. Well, they'd hardly gone down the road when running in front of them was a fox, and in the fox's mouth was a cockerel. Quick, after him, said Jack, and the dog started chasing the fox. Dog was running, the fox ran, the dog was running, the fox started running. Dog was nearly on the fox, the fox dropped the cockerel got on the dog's back, went back to Jack. You know exactly what the cockerel said. Thank you very much. For I would surely die. Where do you happen to be going? Well, I'm off to seek my fortune, said Jack. At least live to the next harvest. Do you mind if I come with you, said the cockerel. Not at all, said Jack, and they set off down the road. Well, fortunately for my breath and your patience, at this point it got dark, and they were looking for somewhere to stay. And they were clearing in the woods, all except the cockerel who went to sleep in the branch of a tree. But it had hardly been asleep when the cock started crying. What's all that noise, said the donkey. It must be morning, said the cockerel. Look, there's light over there. It must be the sun rising. That's not the sun rising, said the donkey. That's a candle in the cottage window. We'd better wake up Jack and the others and find out what's going on. Through the window, and there inside was 6 robbers, and one was eating chicken's legs, and another was drinking cider, and another was counting gold, silver. And Jack said, when I give the signal, make as much noise as you can. And he counted to 3, and the dog started barking, the cat started meowing, the donkey started braying, the cock started crying, and the robbers were so frightened they ran out the back door and went in the forest. And up in the forest, the robbers started complaining. I'd hardly started my chicken's legs at one. I'd hardly had a sub out of my side, said yeah. Think of all the gold and silver. And the robber chief said, look, I'll go down and I'll find out what's going on. And he crept down the cottage. He crept into it so dark he couldn't see his finger in front of his nose. He crept over the fireplace. And he tripped over the dog. And the dog bit him all up his legs, and he ran into the kitchen, and he tripped over the cat. The cat scratched him all down his front, and he was running out the door, and the cockerel dropped down from the top of the door and pecked him all over his face. And he ran to the stable, and the donkey kicked him so hard he flew all the way back to the woods. Whatever happened to you, his friend? So it's like this. I crept down the cottage, and I went inside. It was so dark I couldn't see my finger in front of my nose. And I crept over the fireplace. Not sure quite what happened. I think there was an old woman carding wool. She's getting a big metal brush, brushing out sheep's wool, getting ready to spin. She got that brush and stuck it all over my legs. And someone's going to be complaining that I've been entirely inaccurate. Carding is a code, but that's a by the by. And but whatever it is, it hurts. And of course, it was the dog. But I ran in next. I ran in the kitchen, said the Robertry. And there was a shoe mender mending shoes. He got that needle scratching me all down the front. Oh, we all know it wasn't. It wasn't a shoe mender. It was the cat. And I was running out the door, and there was a little devil on top of the door with his three-pronged fork. And he dropped down and stuck it all over my face. Well, of course, the rest of you know that it was a cockerel. And I went to the stable, and there was a man with a big hammer. He hit me so hard I flew all the way back to the woods. And well, we all know it's the donkey. Well, those robbers never went back to the cottage again. Now, in Kennedy's version, who was the Irish bookseller, the Irish five-side tales where I stole the soul 300 years ago, he has a bit where everything belongs to this lord, and they go to return everything to the lord, but the gate man says they stole it. But when the Lord comes, the gate man gives himself away. And of course, because he let the robbers in, and the gate man was sacked. And Jack and his companions lived happily for the rest of their life. I don't like the idea of everything being returned to the aristocracy. So I just stop it there at the cottage. And Jack and his companions lived there in luxury for the rest of life. And if any of you came down the road and you knocked on the door, you'd have been given something to eat, something to drink, and if you were very tired, a bed to sleep in. Well, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, John. Great vision. And I like that you stopped it there. Why should the aristocracy get their stuff back again?
Well, it could be a nice aristocracy that gives stuff away, but you know, if it was English aristocracy in Ireland, I have my doubts.
No, great tale. Thank you very much for that. It's an interesting reading because it transcribes what people are saying as they talk, and some of the transcript comes out quite funny because you were broken up there a little bit at times, and I was reading it to see what you were saying. I don't think it said what you were saying. But it's
that might just be my very dodgy English.
It might be, but it might be, you know, just the whatever it is. Anyway, it was great. Thanks for that. Thanks for jumping in, you know, unexpectedly and telling us a story. And have you been telling stories today, or are you in London?
No, I went to. I went yesterday up to London, and I saw the Glastonbury celebrations at the films at the V&A. I saw my daughter for the first time in a year and a half, and I haven't been to London in a year and a half. And I went to the Banksy, unauthorised Banksy exhibition at Covent Garden, and I walked 6.5 miles in the course of the day, which normally would be nothing. But after lockdown, it was just, you know, so I got a train back today, and I've just driven up, and I'm staying. Why I'm in this somewhat broken up state is I'm staying in a hotel in Corby that claimed to have internet, and it claimed that you got on it easily. Well, I've tried all my devices, and it doesn't let me on, so I'm back to my telephone.
Well, you're with us, and that's
for which
fabulous.
I apologise.
You're with us despite all of that, and it was great. I saw your stuff on Facebook, and I saw you saw the Otherworld Arts exhibition. My friend, he is the guy who does Otherworld Arts. Tim. Ian Simon. He is Otherworld Arts. Anyway, listen. We could talk about that forever, but let's not. Let's go to the room and see. There's somebody there called, I don't know who else is in the space who is going to tell a story. I know we are very, very short of tellers. Mike, is Mike here? Who's doing the Riyadh?
I thought Abdul was.
Is that Abdul is doing it? It's been
yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Can you hear me? Hi.
Hi, Abdu. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, can you hear me? All good?
Yeah, can hear you fine. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm doing the Riyadh. I'm not Diana, but I'm representing Diana, which is Mike and Lucy for Riyadh Cinema.
Okay. So, so should we hand the space to you for the moment then, and let you do what you're going to do? Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. I need Ali to help me with some pictures just to show and talk about it. Can you hear me, Ali, please? Can you help with this?
Yes, of sure.
Yeah, if you're ready, please, can you go on?
Okay.
Thank you. I've selected some pictures about the Riyadh and the place just to give some story about it. Let me see what Ali's doing now.
Is this Riyadh Star, Abdul?
No, it's for Riyadh Cinema.
Cinema. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just waiting for Ali. I'm currently at Riyadh Cinema at the moment, so.
What plant have you got growing just there?
Have you got any
you're
guesses?
framed by a leaf and a flower.
This one? Those are fake.
Oh.
They look nice.
No, I can't hear you. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I switched off my sound. Sorry.
Yeah, just waiting for Ali. He's gonna solve that things with pictures. All good, Ali?
Yes, General. Yes, I don't. Please. Sorry.
Okay. Just share the pictures, please. The screen.
So just whilst we're waiting, I'm just wondering, Mike, have you got a tale to share with us this evening?
Yeah.
You have. That's a thumbs up from Mike. Great stuff. And Elaine, are you sharing a tale?
I've got a Jack tale I could tell you. It's
A
completely different to John's.
Okay, a Jack tale would be most welcome. Most welcome. And I will tell a story which I was possibly not expecting to be telling a story, but in the meantime. Here we go.
Yeah, so here it is. Sorry, guys. Can you go one by one, Alisa, if that's okay for you, please? This one, great. Can you see the picture, guys? All good? Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's all good.
Yeah? Good. So let's start with this one. This is a street to the Riyadh Cinema, and this is one of the old street in Marrakesh. And the name of that street is Darb al-Hajra Baroudin, Ben Youssef. You can see the mosque on the side. This is the Ben Youssef Mosque. And there are like 4 street names with the same name in Medina, and they're all the same. So they're all like Darb al-Hajra, but this one, to make the difference, this one is the Ben Youssef, Darb al-Hajra Baroudin Ben Youssef, belong to that mosque, you know. And it's one of the, as I said, one of the old street in Marrakesh. It's about 1,000 years ago, and it's really an old place. And that our guests just come down to that street to the Riyadh. Can you go to the other one, please, Ali? Yeah. So this is the courtyard of the Riyadh Cinema, and you can see the tadlocked walls. You know, the wall is in tadlocked. All the decorated in tadlak. The tadlak is one of this special work that you do in Medina, and it's really good for the wall to keep it cool, cool at the summertime, and also good for the wall against the dam, And Riyadh Cinnamon is one of the old houses that was belonged to an old family called Al Kurshi family, and they were lived in this place for like over 60 years, something like that. And they were one of the best bakers in Medina. They do like shibakia, which is one of the famous, the one of the delicious cake that they do in Marrakesh, in Morocco, for like Ramadan or very special occasion, And these guys, they were really known by this shibakia thing. And also the house used to be like used to make, like, the people comes to make weddings in that place, before it becomes a weird hotel, And you don't have to renovate it and make a lot of change in the house to make it. Now we've got like 5 rooms and very high ceiling, very good rooms, and a lot of work for like 2.5 years, working every day to make all the design and all the kind of the sculpture, the walls, the wood, and every design. It takes a lot of time, which is really good. So the conversion from that Riyadh house to the hotel's boutique, which is, it's a lot of work, Can you go to the next one, Ali, please? Oh yeah, this picture that was that remembered the this was one of our guests that we received in Riyadh Cinnamon, because Riyadh Cinnamon we opened in Easter 2010, and this was one of our guests that we received after we opened the house, and it was a family with these 3 kids, and I remember these guys. I was with the daughter. She was not feeling good that day, and the parent could not leave them alone, and they have planned to do in Medina. They've got a lot of things to do, and so I was taking care, because at that time I was looking after Riyadh Cinnamon, and after the guests, I was taking care of these kids, and I was offering to teach them some Arabic language to give them rest, and they're really happy with it. So we had a good fun, and that was the first picture of this guest. It was really amazing, and they loved it. So, Ali, please. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that. It's a picture that shows the deep, the pool in the courtyard. They have a nice pool in the courtyard, which I guess can use. It's a good thing to use after the long walk in Marrakesh and Medina. Just our guests come back to the house and put their feet there. They can also use it to swim, which gave them a good relax with an offer of mint tea from our staff. It's really good, good things to do after that walk in Medina. Yeah, Ali. This is one of the rooms that we have in Cinnamon, and this one is in the courtyard. The name of it is Fast Room, and you can see the really high sitting room, and nice the shape, the wood, and bedrooms, things. There's really good rooms, and people loved it. We have everything in the room now. We have air cons, we have fridges, we have safe, we have everything. Go Ali, please. Okay. Ali? Yeah, so in Riyadh Cinnamon, we have 5 bedrooms, okay? So they all, as I said, big rooms, large, high ceiling rooms, big rooms. The rooms here, they can be used by family, kids and stuff. And we have the different things that we have in the Riyadh is we have rooms with the mezzanine. You can see, the bedroom down here, and you can see the stairs take you up to the top, The mezzanine make it really special in that rooms, and you can use this place to stay and have a drink, read a book, relax, watch DVDs and TV and stuff. Also, the children can sleep there, and it's really good, So we have the first room in the courtyard, which is normal, and the other rooms, they all have this mezzanine. We've got Casablanca, same. We've got Istawaran, Shifshan, and this one, Meknes, is one of the biggest rooms in Riyadh. Have a mezzanine, which is really good, and you can see the tadlak, that color, the aubergine color. Because in the Riyadh we have 5 rooms with different colors of tadlak. And also we've got a fireplace here in the corner. Some of the rooms have a fireplace which guests can use at the winter time, Yes, the next one, please. You can see this one. It shows the rooftop in Riyadh Cinnamon, and you can still see the mosque, the Veneers Mosque. And also we've got a little plunge pool on the roof terrace. It's really good for a guest to go sit there after the people that wants to stay relaxed, enjoy the sunshine, and have go in that pool. It's not a big pool, but it's a really nice pool to plunge on, and people can use it, as I said, if they are sitting on the roof with a drink. And that area is really good, the blue sky, and it's good in the summer with the sun. Yeah. Do we still have any picture, Ali? Oh yeah, this is one of the typical breakfasts we use for the guests. We offer the eggs. You can see we offered like 5 types of eggs. We do a scramble, push, omelette, sunny side up. Really good. Things we do. We got jam. We got like kind of pancake and fruit salad. We've got English tea, broken tea, bread. And this is our typical breakfast that we offer in Riyadh with the fresh juice, of course. Ali, any other picture? Yeah, so this guy here is Hassan. You will meet Hassan if you come to Marrakesh. Hassan used to be one of the guardian in the Riyadh when Mike and Lucy bought the house. There was nothing, and he used to be work with the builders. So he used to be a guardian, look after the house at the time where they have to renovate the house and do the work. And he used to work for these guys doing he was cooking tagine and making tea and couscous, and he was helping the builders. And he's the one that look after he's working with us now as a guardian, helping people, helping with bags and work with people in Medina and all that things. He's a nice guy, yeah. And you can see the t-shirt, the uniforms with the Riyadh Cinnamon. Yeah, that's it. If you have any question, guys, you can let me know. And thank you. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, Abdul.
Thank you, everyone.
There's a lot of things to say. It's not if we stay talking about it's so many things. But I would invite everybody, and you can, when you're here, inshallah, we can talk about everything and all what we do for our guests. We do a lot of things. We offer like phones and maps, and we have our application with the apps that shows people to walk in Medina. We've got massage, free course, hammam, a lot of things. So there's so many things to say. If you have any questions, let me know, please.
It looks really, really lovely, and I wondered how easy is it to find that street and to find the door to the Riyadh, or to find yourself completely lost in the middle of the night and wandering around trying to find that amongst all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that street, the reason that I'm showing that street, because there's so many people didn't know about the street in Marrakesh. This street, especially this one, Darb al-Hajra, there are 4 same name in Marrakesh. So the street Darb al-Hajra that we have here, it's Darb al-Hajra Barudi and Ben Youssef, because we are right in the center, and we are very close to Marrakesh museums and the Quranic school, Madrasa, and the Ben Youssef. So we're right in the center, and we're not far from the souks. So we're just right in the heart of the Medina. And then there are the same name of the street in the Casbah, in Bab Dukala, in Dabashi. So those names of the street, and if you come to the Riyadh, what we do is, people get lost in Marrakesh, as I said, we offer them a cell phone with credit. So, and we've got some very good things to help our guests with the cell phone, with our apps that you can use without internet, with a very good map, very clear, and with our staff in Riyadh that can be able to help 24/7. They can come and find you wherever you are and support you to Riyadh. We do so many things to help, So.
No, it sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And very helpful as well, because I'm sure.
It's very easy to get lost in Marrakesh. I would say yes, sir, John. Sorry. Any question?
Yeah. I've got lost many times. If someone has difficulty walking, how do you recommend them getting around? But hire a tuk-tuk or something. If someone has...
Okay, so what I would say is, getting lost in Marrakesh is really part of the fun. If you're here for like a week, I would recommend you to get lost, because you would find some good things yourself.
Oh no, I don't mind. I have been lost in Marrakesh. I love getting lost in Marrakesh.
Yeah, that's fine. But
if someone cannot walk, if someone has trouble walking, It's
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
we can.
difficult for them to walk.
Yeah.
The best way to get around Medina, what is it?
Yeah.
Just hire a tuk-tuk or something.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own tuk-tuk that we use from Medina Cafe. The guy called Mida is the tuk-tuk guy that we use for this kind of people that cannot walk in Marrakesh, and he's really good and gentleman. He could take them around. They're a good price, and that's what we recommend. And also for some people, we do like a horse and carriage tour for gardens, places that are far, and that tuk-tuk is what we recommend in Marrakesh. He could come very close to the door. So tuk-tuk, he comes close to the door and he could take you around, and that's good. So we do that as well.
Oh well, that's what the week after the festival, when I have my family up there, that's what I'll be doing with them.
No, it's very good. I mean, tuk-tuk is good. I mean,
I'm staying for a week afterwards.
The good things with that tuk-tuk is they could come close. And already at the access to the door is really easy for this tuk-tuk. Some areas, the street not easy for tuk-tuk, and you can get out. You need to get out from the door, and you have to walk like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to get the tuk-tuk. But our area, they are in a good location, good access to the door.
Yeah.
So the tuk-tuk could come close to the door, and easy for these people that cannot walk to get in tuk-tuk and take him around. Very safe, and for a good price, as I said. But as I said, all our kids can still have a phone with Twitter and still have a map. You can call us, and that's what we do here. I'm sure you would love it.
No, that
I would say welcome to everyone. We were looking for you to see in the festival.
Yeah, I have never had anything else but welcome in Marrakesh. It's just from I've only been over twice since 1968. I came over in 1968. I didn't stay in Marrakesh because couldn't find a room.
I'm sure
we went over to Essaouira. We come from Tangier. We stopped in Marrakesh, stayed in the mountains. But the twice I've been over in the last 5 years, it's been beautiful. Everyone has been friendly.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a lot of change in Marrakesh, and there have been there's still doing a lot of renovation in Marrakesh, Medina, and the things really really nice, safer, and the street look much better, and you can drive easy. You can walk, people can. I mean, there's so many things, and I'm sure if you came to Marrakesh now, you would see a lot of change. But people still the same hospitality, the same welcome, and it's just more easy for people to organize the street and organize places. The shop looks better now with the sign, with the names. So it's not like before, When I started walking in Medina, I got lost as well. I got confused because the things look different in a different time. So if you walk in Marrakesh during the day, it's not like Marrakesh at night. You're definitely lost at night because the doors and the shops and all that things are closed and things look like similar. And so I think now there are a lot of signs and a lot of things to help tourists, and which is good. Any more questions?
No, I think that's that. Well, I don't know unless somebody else out there has one. That was great. Thank you for doing that for us, Abdul.
So you're all welcome, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, David, are you waving?
I'll see you in November. I'll see you in November. When I come over to get the festival ready.
See you soon, John. No problem.
See you in a few months.
See you, inshallah.
It's amazing how quickly time is moving on, and it's that the festival is coming at us quite quickly now. I think
it's gonna be very quick. Don't worry, it's like that.
Well,
2 years the 2 years have gone just quick. It's the time.
Yeah. Well, we'll be sat drinking tea with you, I hope, one day.
Yeah. You're welcome, guys. We'll make it great. We'll have a good fun.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's get back to some stories. Thank you for that. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Mike, perhaps you could regale us with whatever tale you've brought along this evening. And there's Julio. Hey, Julio. Well, you have your hand up, Julio. You have your hand up.
To Abdul's presentation. So My name is Julio, and I run the reservations office for the 4 riads that Mike and Lucy owns, including Riyadh Cinnamon. And we are doing a special offer for the to help the festival. And the rooms that you saw in Abdu's presentation are normally priced at £140 a night. So as a special offer, we reduce that price to £100 a night for 2 or 3 people sharing the room. So that's just £50 per person for 2 people sharing, or £33 per person for 3 people sharing. And that price also includes breakfast. So yeah, hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Julio. So there you are, everybody. If you are thinking of coming across, now would be a good time to book a room and secure those excellent prices. Thank you for that offer. Which reminds me also that this event is about raising funds to go towards making the festival happen. So John, can you tell or post me the link?
Well, it should be up. I think Ali should have put it on our Facebook Live, which is PayPal.me, one of those funny stroke things, FestiFund 2022. And the hat, anyway, if people put stuff in the hat, that goes to the same place. And we also have our own Gofundme page. So there's loads of ways to give us money. My name will come up. It looks like it's all going into my bank account, but well, I assure you it is going to the festival. I couldn't find a way to set up anything that didn't have my name attached to it.
Okay, well, that's we all trust you.
And the other thing that is worth, if Norman isn't here tonight, Norman has some books he's donating as raffle prizes. So your name will go into the hat. I've got the names of everyone that's donated because it comes up on hat for we've got the signed books by Duncan Williams, the signed book by Duncan Williamson. I'm not sure what the other 2 books are, but that's the wonderful Norman Perrin who's donating those.
Yep, and we'll be drawing the name out of that hat on the last Rock the Casbah before, which will be January, I guess.
Yes.
So, and that is...
while we're on that, while we're here, I could give you the date of the next Rock the Casbah, which is the Irish one. So which is the 24th of July.
So the 24th of July.
Hold on, let me just check that, because let's make sure. I get really, because I do the Australian. No, the 25th of July, which is a Sunday. I get mixed up because I do my Australian and Asian program the same weekend. So the 24th is the Saturday, 25th is us on the Sunday.
And that will be Ola and...
if I've managed to confuse you all totally, I'll leave Gary to unpick the confusion. The 25th is the definitive date.
Okay, that's brilliant. So it's basically the last Sunday in July, I guess. But and it'll be Ola and the Moth and Butterfly.
I think there is one. Hold on. It's not the last one.
Oh.
There's. Oh, it is in fact. Yes, I lied. The next one is the 1st August. No. 25th.
This is what you might describe
last
as
Sunday in July. You're absolutely correct.
A smooth operation, you might describe this as a well-oiled machine. And anyway, so well, moving on and getting the cogs going again, let's have a story from Mike. And after that, Elaine, perhaps you could tell, or one moment, I'm just, yeah, we'll come to you, we'll see where we are after. So Mike, the floor will be yours, my friend.
Right. Well, thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. You may be lucky not to, but I thought as the theme was hospitality, I'd go with a story my mother used to tell us many years ago. And it's a story that kind of moves location depending where she's living or was living. And it's when Jack got to be an old man, he and his old woman were travelers, and they were traveling around, and they would try to earn a bit of a crust by doing a bit of, well, she would do some fortune telling and sell knickery-knackery, all bits of sewing kit and things. And he would fix anything that was broken. If there was a saucepan with a hole in the bottom, he could fix it. If you had a bit of machinery that wasn't working, he could fix it. But this was a really bad day for them. And they were traveling across the moor, and no one had offered them a bite to eat or a drink. And it was coming on nightfall. So they set up a cold, hard camp with no food. And all they had to drink was a little stream that ran by the foot of the nearby hill. So they could have a drink of water, and that was it. Then as they were trying to settle down, and they couldn't get to sleep easily because they were really hungry, the old woman said, Jack, look up the hill. I can see the lights of a hall. And Jack said, don't be stupid, woman. There's no hall anywhere near here. There's no buildings for miles around other than cottages. And she said, but I can see it up the hill. And Jack said, no. That'll just be the light coming through the trees. That'll be the moonlight. It'll be reflecting off the wet leaves and things. And no, there's nothing there. And she said, no, I'm sure there's a hall here. He said, there isn't. And she said, well, you think what you want and I'll think what I want. But I'm going up the hill with a little basket with a few bits and pieces in. I can tell some fortunes. I can sell some bits and bobs, and we'll be all right. And he said, there's nothing there. She said, well, I'll see you in the morning then. So she went up, she crossed the stream, skirted round the hawthorn brush, and set off up the path up the hill. And when she got up the hill, she said, I knew it, that Jack's a fool, because there was a great big hall with lights on. But of course, she knew her place. She went round to the back and she tapped on the kitchen door. And a little maid opened the door. And the woman said, I've got some stuff I can sell, or I can tell fortunes. Have you've got a bite to eat, a drop to drink? And the little maid said, oh, you wait here, my dear. And she shut the door on her. And a couple of minutes later, a little old man came. He had all the old-fashioned sort of brocade waistcoat and everything. He opened the door. He didn't creak. He opened the door and he said, you've got some stuff we might be interested in. And she said, well, I hope so. Yeah, I've got my jacket. Yeah, I've got my basket with things. He said, well, what sort of stuff do you have? She said, well, I've some ribbon, I've some threads, I've got some pins and some needles, and I've got some nice sharp scissors. And he said, wow. He said, and I can tell fortunes. He said, well, you can come in, bring your ribbons and your threads and your fortunes, but leave your needles, your pins and your scissors outside. So she thought, oh, that's a little bit suspicious. She said, I'll just come in the kitchen, get a bite to eat. He said, no, my master wouldn't consider that proper hospitality. You must come through to the hall, bring your basket and be prepared to tell fortunes. So she said, right, and she started taking all the stuff out of her basket that they didn't want in the hall, but she was a bit sneaky. And as she went through the door, she just pushed one pin into the wood around the door and she carried on through. And she went through the kitchen. Oh, the smell. There was a stew on, there was meat roasting. She was salivating. And she was thinking, oh, that smells good. I hope we get some of that. And she got through to the hall. And the master was there, and he's huge, dark man, and very smartly dressed. He said, so, my good woman, you've come to sell us your fripperies and tell our fortunes. And she said, if it please you, master, yes. And he said, well, that sounds very acceptable. He said, if you give me a good fortune, I will give you a bag of gold. I said, oh, master, I don't need a bag of your gold. All I need is a little basket full of food and something to drink. And so he said to the footman, go and make up a basket for the old woman. And he said, well, tell me a fortune, but meanwhile, have a glass of wine with me. And she said, oh, master, thank you. I will certainly take a glass of wine with you with the Lord's blessing. He looked a bit cross and everything went totally quiet in the hall. And he said, we don't do that here. We don't use that name. And she said, but surely you want the blessing of God on your wine and on your food. He was really angry. He said, we don't do that. Drink your wine. And she said, I can't if it's not blessed. I can't without a blessing. And he looked even more angry. And he said, then we'll throw you out. And she said, well, you did say you'd give me a basket of food and drink. Did I mention she was a brave old woman? And the Lord was, oh, he was livid. He was incandescent. And he shouted to the footman, give this woman a basket of food and drink. And he said to her, you clear off out of my hall with your food and your drink. But I'll tell you this, don't you look at my hall again tonight. Don't you look at my hall when you're on my hill, or you will be in big trouble. Well, thank you very much. And she went to the kitchen and she was given her basket of food and drink. And she went out through the back door, and as she went, she pulled her pin out, which is why they couldn't have nipped her down to Fairyland in the first place. And as she went down the hill, she suddenly heard a bleating from behind her, like a lamb or something. She said, oh, Lord bless this lamb. The bleating stopped. Then she heard something like a baby crying behind her, and she said, oh, Lord bless the baby. And the noise stopped. Suddenly coming towards her up the path, she saw a great huge black bull with red fiery eyes, and there's breath steaming out of its nostrils. But she was a brave woman, and she said, Lord bless this bull. Just like that, it was gone. And she carried on down the path, down the path, down the path. She got to the bottom of the hill, and she was about to cross the stream and go back to Jack. And her shawl caught on the hawthorn bush. So she put down the basket and she turned to loosen her shawl, and she just got it off. And I don't know what it was, but somehow, just as she got it over her shoulder, she couldn't resist, and she peeked up, back up the hill. The next morning, Jack woke up. He was cold, he was hungry, he was alone. And of course, he went looking for his old woman. And he went to the stream to get to the path at the bottom of the hill. And there on the ground was a basket of food and drink. And beside it, there was this rock he'd never seen before. And he looked at it and he said, you know what? If that weren't made of stone, I could have swore that was my old woman. And that's a true story, because you can still go there and see the rock. Thank you.
Now, you see what happens when you're told not to look back, and you do, and how difficult is it to resist? That is a question. Well, yeah. So where did that tale come from? I thought that was started off sounding like a Duncan Williamson story, but then wasn't sure.
It's the same sort of thing. My mum used to tell it, and she was from Greenock, and she claimed that she was a Lee and that her family was a travelling family but had settled down a while before. And she used to, but that story, she'd move it, because I didn't specify where, but like when we lived in Sussex, she claimed it was Turner's Hill, and the woman went up Turner's Hill. Then when we were moved down to Swanage, she'd claim it was Corfe. You know what people like over at Corfe, they'll tell you anything and tell the story for Corfe. So I don't really know the origin, just that she used to tell it.
Yeah, no,
yeah, it's got a Duncan Williamson feel, hasn't it?
It certainly has. It certainly has. And I'm sure there is a story that he told was thank you, Jasmana. Bye-bye. Sorry, Jasmana was going to tell a story tonight, but she's having trouble with her internet, so she's just saying goodbye on the message.
Join the club.
There must be something in the air.
A lot of it about.
Anyway, well, great, thank you. So, well, let's go across to Elaine. And Elaine, can you finish the evening for us? And that should wrap it up around about a nice hour. And then our team in Marrakesh can go home early, which would be very nice for them, because we usually keep them hanging on for ages. So Elaine, a story from you about Jack again, funnily enough.
It's another Jack story. Jack's had a busy time today, but this story is definitely true, and it was told by Duncan Williamson and shared by his wife Linda through the wonderful medium of Facebook. She's been keeping us all going with Jack's stories. Now, Jack is up in the north of Scotland, and he's living with his mum in a wee fishing village. She is a widow, but she's been quite well provided for, and they can live quite comfortably in their wee cottage, which is one of lots of wee whitewashed cottages by the sea. And it would be quite idyllic if life wasn't so tough then. But the people shared, the fishermen shared their catch. And Jack's mum, well, she'd been pally with this boy since she was at school, and his name was Duncan McTavish. And Duncan McTavish would come round and share a wee cup of tea and his fish with Jack and his mother, and they would have a wee bit crack of a night, and then he would take himself off. Now, the only bugbear that Jack had with Duncan McTavish hated seals. He hated seals. He said, if I had a gun, I'd shoot every single one of them. It's a good job the youngsters are away, because this, he wasn't that nice, this Duncan McTavish, about seals. But fortunately, he did not have a gun. Now, as much as old McTavish hated seals, Jack loved the seals. Now, their life wasn't too hard, so Jack would collect driftwood from the shore for Mammy's fire, and he would help her round about the house, and he would help her with the garden and the crops and the animals. So it wasn't too tough. He had some time to go down and play his wee whittled whistle to the seals. Now, my son stays in Corf up in Shetland, and he has his own wee beach to himself, and we take our grandchildren down, and the seals all sit on rocks and look at us as if to say, look at the humans, what are they up to? And they have very human eyes, and they seem to make a connection with you, just looking at you and being interested. And sometimes when you walk along the beach, they follow you along, and then they follow you back, which of course the grandsons think is magic. So when Jack played his whistle, the seals all came up to him, and they listened with great interest. And that fair tickled Jack. He did it every single day this summer. When it got too cold in the winter, it wasn't such fun, and he couldn't make the whistly noises because of the rain and the howling wind, etc. And this went on, this nice wee state of affairs for Jack. He loved the summer. He loved the seals. But one night, Duncan McTavish came storming into the house, for they didn't lock their doors. They all just came and went as they pleased. And he said, I hate these seals. I really do wish I had a gun, because I would shoot every last one of them dead. What's I do? Said Jack's mother. Well, these seals have eaten my nets again. They've ripped them to shreds, and it's going to cost me a fortune to get new nets made. He says, I'm furious, but I tell you something. I battered one of them, and I'll not be seeing that one again, because he went down into the deep. Well, Jack was really disturbed. He was really upset about that. And Duncan McTavish didn't say, off he went. And Jack went scouring the beach because he was fair worried about this seal. And he looked and he looked, but he saw no seals about. They all seemed to have scampered. And he was just about to give up when he spotted something lying in the water. But it wasn't a seal, it was a man. And this man had dishevelled, black, curly, matted hair, and he was lying face down. And he seemed to be dressed in awfully funny clothing. It looked a wee bit like fur to Jack. He says, oh, this must be an awfully poor soul, because he's not even got a shoe on his foot, neither feet. And his feet, they looked a bit worn and blistered and whatnot. And he thought, oh, what a shame. I think he's dead. But on turning him over and feeling his heart, he could feel a heartbeat. But pouring out his head was all this blood. Now, his mammy had told him stories about seal men, and he just said to her, they're old wifey's tales. Could this be one of these seal men? Ah, nah. But he gently lifted the man, put him over his shoulder ever so gently, took him back to his house, because their houses were open. If somebody needed a bed they got. So his mother saw him coming in. He says, what's I do, Jack? What's I do? What have you got? And Jack said, well, I found this poor man on the beach with his head caved in. And they both looked at each other and they remembered old McTavish whacking a seal on the head, and they looked at each other. And she says, now, dinna be telling anybody this. Nothing about this. This is our secret. And Jack very carefully carried what they now knew was the seal man up the stairs, laid him gently on the bed, and old mother got the kettle on, boiled the water over the fire, got a wee tin bowl, put a clue in it and sterilised it, as you do. And she took it up the stairs and she gently bathed the seal man's head. And she put some ointment on it and she wrapped it round with bandages. She says, there. Now, we better leave him to rest. So they went down, and McTavish had left fish. So they had the fish and they had a bit of cup of tea and a bit blether, could this be the seal man? Was that old McTavish that did that? And we should watch for him coming, said my mother. So she must be psychic, this woman, because they saw McTavish walking down the road again, and he still didn't look too pleased. They heard him slamming the door open. Mother says, now, shh, no a word about that seal man up the stairs. McTavish was just coming in for another moan. He says, I've no more fish, so you'll hate me to do with that. And I'm just in to tell you that I really hate these seals. Just wait till I see you. Any more, that'll be it. I'll get more of them. I'll batter them with the oars of the boat. And then he stomped off again. Oh my. Jack and his mother looked at each other and they wondered if the laddie upstairs was all right. So the pair of them scarpered up the stairs. Right up they went. But when they looked in, they saw Jack's bed and it was empty. There was nobody there. But they knew somebody had been there, and it was near their imagination because they could see the bandages that Jack's mammy had put round the seal man's head. Well, I hope he's all right, says mammy. And Jack says, well, I'll go out and have a wee look. So he did. He scoured the beach. But the seal man was gone. So all went on the same way as it had always done for the next couple of weeks, until one day Jack was down at the beach and he saw an awful commotion and all the people were scouring the beach looking for something. And Jack says, what's I do? What are you all looking for? Well, said one of the fishermen, we saw old McTavish's boat on the beach and it was overturned. So we looked underneath, nae McTavish. We've scoured the sea. We've been out in the boats, nae McTavish. Oh, says Jack. And they continued to look for McTavish as the weeks went by, but there was no sign of him. He was gone. Now, the time went on and summer came round again, and Jack went down to the beach again and did his wee bit of whittling and got his whistle organised, and down he went to whistle to the seals. And once again, the seals came up towards him, and there was one came right up and sat itself up and turned its head. and Jack could see a white patch down the head, as though there had been an injury before. And the seal looked at Jack, and Jack looked at the seal, and the seal nodded. Jack had stopped his whistling by then. He was so amazed. The seals went down into the water and disappeared. Jack had to run back up and tell Mother, and she says, well, I tell you, they weren't the old wifey's tales. You now have experience of a seal man. He says, oh, I'm sorry they didn't stay. He says, but I'm glad to know that he's alive. He survived. Oh, that makes my heart glad. And Jack and his mother, they lived quite uneventfully for that time forward. They never saw any more seal men. And Mother eventually passed away, and Jack stayed there in the house until he passed away. But the folk in Furness, they still talk about the seal man, because it's a true story. And that's the end of the tale. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that one alive for us there, Elaine. That was great. I love it. He deserved what he got there, didn't he? I mean, he's like
Absolutely.
Yeah, carried such hatred for poor old seals. I mean, God, just brought it upon himself, if you ask me. So yeah,
just deserves.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was a great tale. Thanks, Elaine, and well told as well. And great to hear one of Duncan Williams's stories told in his own accent. So, at least from the same country. So great, that was brilliant. Well, listen, folks, we come to the end of our.
Well, Gary, I've got to thank you for holding it together tonight. We're coming up this week, of course, Tuesday at 5 o'clock in the evening, we have our International Young Tellers, which gets better every week. We get more children from India, from Gaza, from Nepal, from Nigeria, from America, from Scotland. Fantastic, huge international community of young tellers, which is just brings such joy. Wednesday, we link up with, and I don't know what time because I haven't got anything in front of me. We link up with Wandsworth Festival and for storytelling with Wandsworth Festival. And next Sunday is our worldwide story round. So if everyone comes, Elaine, it'd be great to have you do one in the story round as well. That's hosted by Mike Russ. Meanwhile, Gary, before my phone disappears and runs out of battery, thank you once again.
Thank you, and thank you to Ali and to Abdu for presenting, for holding everything together, and for telling us about the Riads. Thank you to David Thompson and Mike Faculty. Is that how you? I can't remember how you. Yep. And to Elaine for your stories as well. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to the whoever's out there watching and listening for being out there and watching and listening. And we'll see you in a month's time or thereabouts, the 25th of July. Thank you all.
Give us money.
Give us your money. Yeah. Thank you all, and good night.
See you then. Bye. Bye-bye. Thanks, Gary. Bye.
Gary?
Oh, yes.
Can I ask you a quick question? In the Tales of the Canal Banks, you illustrated it. There was a picture of a pipe stem, and I wondered if it was an RAOB pipe that had been found by mudlarkers, because it looked like the bull's horns, the buffalo horns.
It's basically an image that I found on Google, and I just found it and then do it. So.
Did your own version. Cheers.
See you. Thanks.
Okay.
See you, man. Bye-bye.